What is up, everybody? Jeremy Eisenfire here, and welcome back to the channel. From Season 2 is officially in the books, and that means we can look forward to Season 3 and beyond, especially now that we have official confirmation that Season 3 is a go from MGM+, which is awesome news. But just where exactly do we go from here? Season 2 threw a ton of questions at us, probably more questions than answers, which just opens the door to a ton of possibilities from Season 3 and beyond. So I figured now would be the perfect time to dive into some of those mysteries and see just where Season 3 could potentially take us. Starting with, of course, the biggest question on most of our minds: where exactly is Tabitha? At the end of Season 2, we see Tabitha finally makes her journey to the lighthouse via the faraway tree, the special bottle faraway tree, which, unlike the other faraway trees, this one seems to take people only to the tower, where all of the other trees seem to be random destinations. Which is a question in and of itself as to how Victor's mother found that out. Victor's mother seemed to have uncovered a lot of information, and we're not quite sure how she did it. We know that she knew about the children, we know that she knew about the bottle tree, we know that she knew about the lighthouse, and specifically that the lighthouse was the way out of Fromville, as the last thing that she told Victor before she left was, as soon as I am done rescuing the children, we are going home. So Victor's mother clearly uncovered a ton of stuff. The question is, how exactly did she uncover it? And what exactly happened to her? Victor was led to believe that his mother died before she even made it into the faraway tree, as he found her body right next to it. But as we don't know what kind of condition her body was in, was it a monster that took her out? Was it Christopher? Was it something else? We really don't have a whole lot of information to go on there. But Victor at least is operating under the assumption that she never made it to the faraway tree. And I think that could potentially be a possibility, especially if Eloise was present as well. We saw Eloise, Victor's sister, did not stay down in the root cellar, and she took off after her mother. Maybe there was something that happened when they got close to the bottle tree, and Victor's mother had to maybe sacrifice herself to get Eloise into the tree. Because I do get the feeling that Eloise did in fact make it out of Fromville, and I think that will tie into Season 3 and Tabitha's storyline. We see at the end of Season 2, Tabitha does indeed make it to the lighthouse, and she gets all the way to the top, where the boy in white is standing there waiting for her. And he says, "I'm sorry, this is the only way." And he proceeds to push her out of the top of the lighthouse. And next thing we know, Tabitha is waking up in what appears to be the real world, or maybe another part of Fromville that hasn't been uncovered yet. I know a lot of people seem to think that she's not in the real world, she is just in another part of Fromville, which is definitely possible as well. But regardless of where she ended up, I get the feeling that her and Eloise's storylines could potentially meet in Season 3. Because I don't think it was by accident that the writers put that lunchbox in Tabitha's possession. At the end of Season 2, we see that Victor has put a bunch of snacks and stuff in the lunchbox, and he gives it to Tabitha. But if Victor solely just wanted to give her some snacks to take, they could have put it in any old bag. The writers specifically put it in the lunchbox for a reason, I think. Because if Tabitha and Eloise are going to team up in Season 3 and potentially work together to find a way back into Fromville, the lunchbox could be the perfect thing that brings Tabitha and Eloise together. Because I get the feeling that Eloise would most likely recognize that lunchbox as Victor's if she saw it in Tabitha's possession. And when I initially brought this idea up in our after show, I saw a few of you in the chat potentially bringing up another theory, which could fit into this as well, that maybe Eloise is indeed in the same place that Tabitha is in right now, but maybe she doesn't remember Fromville at all. What if actually seeing the lunchbox is what triggers the memories and brings it all back, similar to how Victor remembered his sister in the first place after he saw the drawings? I thought that was a really interesting theory that the chat came up with, so I would love to see it go either way. But I definitely think we could be seeing Tabitha and Eloise teaming up in some sort of way in Season 3 to rescue everybody else in Fromville. It would add a really interesting dynamic to the show if you have Tabitha and Eloise in the real world, or in whatever world that they are in right now, trying to find a way back into Fromville to rescue everybody else, while everyone else in the town is left to deal with the perils that they are currently dealing with a potential winter on its way and this entity that is flying around, which I do think we have not seen the last of. And speaking of entities that we don't know much about, there is the boy in white as well. Now, what exactly is the boy in white up to? Up until now, he has been pretty much for the most part helping our characters and survivors when they need it the most. But here we see him push Tabitha out the window, and I get the feeling that he is still potentially trying to help. Maybe his plan is to reunite Tabitha with Eloise so they can rescue everybody else from wherever they are. Maybe that is his plan. Or maybe we're potentially seeing a more malevolent side of the boy in white, and maybe he's not the savior that we thought. But definitely let me know what you think down below. Is the boy in white here to help, or is he a little bit more malevolent? And where do you think Tabitha is, and what potential storyline could she be facing in Season 3? Up next, we have this mysterious worm entity. Now, at the end of Season 2, we saw Boyd face off in a battle of wits with this entity for control of Julie, Mari, and Randall, which Boyd was successful enough to win by destroying the music box and stopping the melody, as it were. But what exactly was this entity's plan, and what is the endgame? We hear that Sarah said as soon as Julie, Mari, and Randall were dead that it was, quote, over. So whatever it was going to do, by the time Julie, Mari, and Randall were dead, whatever the entity's plan or endgame was, it would have been enacted. I get the feeling that the entity is potentially looking for a physical form and maybe to escape Fromville entirely. We saw in Season 2 that the entity can affect the survivors in their dreams, but it didn't seem like it had a physical form, and maybe that's what it was after. Which also begs the question, who trapped the entity inside Martin in the first place, and who was holding Martin and the entity captive? Because we did hear the entity say that Boyd was the one who came along and freed it and brought it back to the town. But who exactly trapped it in the first place? Could it potentially be this same group that was on the other end of the radio that Jim heard at the end of Season 1? Or is there another faction out there that we haven't been introduced to yet? Definitely let me know what you think down below. But either way, I definitely don't think we have seen the end of this entity. Whatever plan it was trying to enact, whether it wanted a physical form, whether it wanted to escape Fromville entirely, I don't think we have seen the end of it. Another thing that I'm looking forward to seeing in Season 3 is Jade's journey, and where it will ultimately take him. What exactly does this symbol have in store for Jade? Now, I get the feeling that Jade might be going down a similar path that Christopher went down. We saw that Christopher was the one who was seeing these symbols previous to Jade, and whatever happened to Christopher, it seemed like he was unable to solve the mystery of these symbols, and it seems like it could potentially have driven him mad. And I get the feeling the same thing is going to happen to Jade if he doesn't solve the riddle of the symbols either. But it seems like Jade is making much more headway, and I do get the sense Jade will solve the riddle entirely. We saw at the end of Season 2 that he did make his descent down into the caves where he found the Ankui children, the same children that were appearing to Tabitha, in what appeared to be some type of ritual or sacrifice or experiment of some kind. We see that the kids are all lined up on 7 different blocks, 7 different altars almost, and if we look back to the cave paintings, a depiction of this is showed to us very early on, where we see the same symbol that Jade has been plagued with, and beneath it, 7 different stone blocks. I get the feeling that is what this is representing. But what exactly happened to these children, and what was the purpose of this experiment, ritual, sacrifice, whatever it is? But I do get the feeling this will be Jade's journey going forward, solving the rest of the mystery of this symbol, what exactly happened to these Ankui children, and how it can help the rest of the survivors escape, or at least learn more about where they are. But there you have it, folks. Just a few different predictions as to where Season 3 could potentially take us. We still have so many questions, far more questions than answers were delivered in Season 2, I would say, and hopefully Season 3 starts to answer some of these riddles that Season 1 and Season 2 have set up. And definitely let me know your thoughts and predictions down below in the comment section. Where do you think Season 3 is headed, and where will some of our characters' journeys be taking them? And as always, I want to give a big thank you to everybody out there for watching. Keep those tinfoil hats on, folks, and I will see you on the next one.